If anyone is seeing this and you're new, you're thinking about drifting, definitely don't be afraid to leverage me, to help ease your transition into this.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking about competition as well, especially, let's talk, and I can kind of coach you on developing a plan and like what that looks like to take it a little more serious to the next level.
Drip and Drift.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Drip and Drift podcast. I am Nick, aka Drip and Drift, and today's guest is the owner of Slide United. He is an engineer as well. Please welcome Rich.
What's up? Happy to be here. Appreciate it.
Happy to have you, man. I've been looking forward to talking to you because I've been seeing you at different events, especially you're wearing the UCF shirt, but although I didn't go to UCF, I have a lot of friends that went there, and it's cool to see you promoting that and stuff as well. So
yeah, no, education's a huge part. I'm kind of at the point in my life where like giving back and sort of leaving things better than I found it is like a big deal.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's a good philosophy to have, leaving it better than the way you found it.
Yep.
That's hard, I feel like, to live by.
But
that's a very good mentality. So doing a little research, I saw like you've been in this sport for a while. So take us back. How'd you even get into drifting? How did it all start for you? What happened?
So I kind of grew up in cars in the very late 90s, early 2000s. I was doing like car shows and drag racing and stuff. And so a funny tie-in. So Chris Jackson of US Drift Circuit, he grew up 3 houses down from me.
Nice.
So he's I think he was younger than me. So I was like, when I turned 16 and I was 17 or 18, had my first Mustang and all like modded out, and he was like a 12 or 13-year-old kid then. So like they would come over and like check out my stuff, and then when they got old enough to drive, they all got drift cars, and I would see it in the magazines, and I was interested in it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of my first taste of it. So I would like go to events with them and kind of was around the South Florida drift scene. Although I didn't drive, I was around it a decent amount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what made you want to start driving it? Like, because there's a step you take, like spectating. Tons of people spectate, but to take that next step to be like, I have to do this myself. I
knew then that I did. So I got around that time I got a ride in my friend's SR S13
ride along
Silk Coupe. Yeah. Well, it wasn't a drift ride, but it was a street. But it was my first taste of like a decent power, like Tomei head, big turbo SR. And so I knew I wanted to be involved, and I had to get out of cars for a little bit, just life. So when I was able to get back into it around like 2012 or so, I was like, yeah, drift, like that's the direction I want to take. I want to see what that's like from the driving side. So I went kind of head first
into it, and then haven't looked back. I mean,
no,
you've been like consistently driving and
with some breaks here and there. Like I went back to college, and there was a year here or there where I didn't get to drive much, but yeah, I kind of never gave up on it. Always, if it was there, it was on the back burner, and I knew that I would get back to it here or there. So
dang,
yeah.
So your first drift car was the 240?
My first drift car is the same one I have now.
Dang.
Yep, same one. I've drifted Z's and some other chassis and stuff. But yeah, no, that's actually my first drift car. Yeah.
Not many people that.
Yeah, I've had it for
like that.
I've had it for like 10 years now.
Wow. Yeah. So then what was the first thing? It was a stock KA?
No, I traded an IS300 for it. It was already SR powered, S14 SR. Just traded straight up, which was like, it was pretty well sorted like street car. The guy got it from, it was kind of he had another drift car, and that was like his kind of street daily. So I started sliding it. I can still remember. So the first time I held drift around the oval, this was before before they paved the skid pad or anything like that. Yeah. I forgot to breathe the entire time. I literally was like, "Oh, I got it!"
Yeah.
And I just came out of drift and was like completely out of breath.
That is a real thing.
It very much. I literally just forgot to breathe for that whole lap.
Wow.
I was so focused on what I was doing. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
So it just built up after that, because now it looks like a pretty pro level car.
Yeah, it's. I don't ever really want to go rear radiator and take the extra stuff. But yeah, it's a pretty well sorted pro-am. Could turn into a pro spec car. If I wanted to take that leap, but
is it still SR, or you have the LS?
I'm LS now. Yeah, I went LS when things went crazy in 2020 with SR stuff and all that. I was like, man, like if and that motor has never failed me. I was like, if something happens though, it's just going to cost a lot of money, just pragmatically to go and find a replacement and deal with all that. So it was kind of a natural progression for me. I really, especially I have two boys that are young, so I needed something I could just kind of like change the oil and drive and not worry about as much.
And still have your 240.
Yeah, and because of the cost, I was like afraid to like use the SR like I should.
Right.
You know, I don't want to blow it up. So yeah.
Did you sell the SR or you kept it?
I did sell it. It funded half the LS swap. Funny enough.
Nice.
I wish I had a street car to put it in because I would have done that hands down. I would have kept it and just kept it as a street car, but
life happens.
I had it. Yeah, I couldn't afford both, so yeah, I had to sell it.
Dang, yeah, that's obviously you did it for cost, reliability, efficiency, but yeah, that's a big thing of like turbo stuff or LS stuff, and yeah, you want LS.
Yeah, I miss this. I mean, I am having a lot of fun with LS stuff. But I do miss the turbo 4-cylinder. I thought about doing going Honda K Series.
Yeah,
I was kind of my debate actually. I'd landed on either K Series or the LS, but to get to the reliable K Series would have cost a lot of money.
Yeah, I am a fan of those, and I know they can be super reliable. Yeah. I've also seen them not be very reliable either. So I don't know. I'm still not like completely gung ho for that in a swap for myself, but it is. I do like that idea. I do like that idea. Man, what so going back to like your time in drifting from 2000s all the way to now, what do you see like some differences then versus now as far as maybe style or as far as like the builds that are being done? What do you notice?
Yeah, so when I got into it in 2012, I kind of jumped straight with Pro-Am. I didn't compete myself, but I helped Chris Jackson. I've helped other drivers just because I was around motorsports for a long time before that. So yeah, like build philosophies obviously have changed. I mean, power levels are way higher now. Yeah. I mean, you've got like fun day cars that are like 400 or 500 horsepower, and that's obviously a big, probably the biggest contrast. The age of big angle kits now as well, and all that.
Yeah, a lot more angle kits, less cut knuckles, less stock angle. Yeah, that's true. Dang. What else? Anything? I'm trying to think of something that I haven't thought of in a then back then and now type of thing, like, because the sport has grown, but even like obviously 240s are still popular because you're still driving.
Well, the age of fun events now, like that's a big new.
You're right,
people don't think of that as new probably anymore, but these big like fun bash events are in the last 10 years, which is a good. I think drifting is kind of cool to me because you have like two sides of that coin, and I think they kind of need each other to exist. And you have a lot of really passionate people on both sides, competition and fun. Yeah. But one needs the other. Like they fuel both sides and the entire industry. Yeah. I agree with that. So I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, that is true. A lot more fun days happen than I remember when I first, as a kid, looking and trying to find it on FD on G4 Spike TV, and not having many events unless they were competition. So
or even this you've transitioned out of like the fun days being like just a little local track meet where the locals get together. Now you have like grid lives. Right. You've got like big fun events.
You're right. Yeah.
So like I said, that probably came about, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. It doesn't seem like that long to me, but there's some people in drifting now who probably have like not known a time when that wasn't a thing.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, all of the fun days were like, just the local track stuff and just the locals, not were these big regional or national pulls.
Yeah. And not only like you mentioned about angle kits and power, but just the amount of parts now that are available. Yeah, I'm sure like building the 240 in 2013 wasn't as easy.
No, and it's kind of grown up with the availability and with the new technology and like different build philosophies too that have come around now. I mean, like I kind of saw rear radiators happen in that time frame too. Like that wasn't as near as popular of a thing, you know, 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah, now you're debating. But you said you're not gonna.
No, I don't. Like I said, my problem. I don't know if this comes from like growing up in the car show world a little bit, but I like my car too much, so I don't want to hurt it too bad. And there's kind of a certain like point where I don't want to completely just have it lose its kind of, I don't know, its identity in that sense. Yeah. And go full on like pro car level.
Right. Especially if that's not what you're trying to do. And
yeah, it's not necessary at this point. I have a stock fuel tank too.
Nice. Oh.
So the front and the rear of the car are like I said, that's why I say it's kind of a pro-am level.
Yeah. It could still compete, but run fun days. And
even as a driver, I'm only getting to the place now where like I'll feel tank slap, where I'll be in drift and I'll feel, you know, having such a large fuel tank back there. I'll start to kind of that feedback is coming to me now that I've been driving more and getting some of that. But that's taking for me. Some people can jump right in a car and feel it. I'm not one of them. Yeah, it's taken me a long time to kind of like gain that feel. Yeah.
How do you? Obviously, you kept the 240. How does that compare to like the 350 you drove? And
I love, So the couple. So my teammate John, he actually owns Taylor Ray's old blue 350Z. He's had it for years now. So it's kind of the car where like if one of our cars down and there's an event, like we might take that out, or in the off season we're doing like the rebuilds. That's kind of the car that we use. So I have an absolute blast because it's, you know, still VQ. I can just absolutely like floor it everywhere on the skid pad and just throw it around. I wear that car like a glove. Like it just feels like it fits.
Yeah, and you don't feel like you're gonna ruin it like you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Dang, yeah. So then you just never wanted like a seat time like that. Well, if he has it, I guess you have it.
Yeah, I haven't. You know, that's one of those things too, where you know, life balance. Yeah. You know, getting a second car. Yeah. You start to get into a whole nother level of stuff. You know, having something like that would definitely be cool, but I still have a lot of seat time to get into my car first.
And also, like you said, with the street car and the SR, like you would, but that's a whole nother whole nother bag of problems for sure.
That daycare bill is real.
I bet. Dang. So you mentioned John. He's part of your team, Slide United. How did that begin? How did you guys get together? How that all start?
So Slide United actually started about 10 years ago. There's a small group of us, just local drifters. I think other than, Thomas Jones drives a little bit. He was one of the original that we kind of got together. And again, growing up in the early 2000s, like car clubs were huge then. So I kind of still have that mentality a little bit where the collective group is better than, you know, is greater than the individual. Yeah. So I kind of gravitate to that kind of thing. Cool. So my crew chief now, Frank, he was one of the original ones. We met at OSW actually 10 years ago, and we've been really close since. So there's a couple of us that are still kind of around now, and it's kind of evolved where it's more. It's been hard to find a little bit of identity, and I kind of found it recently with the educational stuff. So Slide United is not like in pursuit of profit or anything like that. I'm actually thinking about making it a 501c. So that I can pursue opportunities to further that stuff. But it's really about helping people, educating people. Even if you're not on the team, I want Slide United to be a resource that people think of if they're like, hey, like, what should I do here? Or you know, if they have questions, especially if you're new to drifting, I want them to have a place they feel like they can go to like guide them through missteps that like we've all made.
Yeah, right? And not feel dumb to ask questions.
Yeah,
it's not dumb, but people feel that way.
Yeah, especially on the internet. There's no such thing. So I'll get people hit me up every once in a while with, you know, sometimes basic, sometimes really intricate questions. You know, and it's really my goal to kind of like shepherd them into the sport a little bit, and you know, it's their choice how they want to do it, but let them know what some of the pitfalls like I've experienced. I've seen a lot of people in 10 years come in and just burn bright and then completely phase out. Yeah. You know, and it's
even in the
sad.
4 years that I've seen it.
But. Yeah. It's easy to do, and it's sad, and you have to.
And it's real. Like it happens.
you kind of get in and you get stars in your eyes about stuff, and you're like, I'm gonna spend all my life savings on this,
Right.
and
Yeah.
last a couple of years and not be able to do it. And I don't want to see that happen. I want longevity. Yeah.
For sure. Dang, that's pretty good. That's pretty cool. So, I know you said that you weren't competing, but you guys do compete, John.
Yeah.
You guys, I'm guessing both your car and his car are like the team cars.
Yeah. So they're the team cars. John's goal is a little bit different than mine. So he wants to go pro. I mean, he's got the skills. We're building the car around it. So we have similar philosophies and approach to that. If you want to do the competition side and take it to a certain level, like seriously, you have to kind of treat it like a business, which means like having a business plan and sitting down. And so it's another way where he and I have been able to together develop kind of a strategy and a plan on what does this year look like. We only have so much budget, right? So what are the things that are going to maximize, our ability on track, and then move other stuff to the next year. And so even like, earlier this year, we were already planning what the motor package looks like for next year for him. Okay. We bounce ideas off each other. And so we tend to kind of plan about a year ahead.
And you work together to get the sponsorships and things like that?
Yeah, he's starting to do some of that on his own more too. But yeah, we try to share resources as much as possible. So if a company that is interested in me with the educational side, I'll still talk to them about, because John also, he's trying to help veterans and do some of the outreach with that as well with his program. So it's not just, it's drifting, but he's trying to use that as well in a way that, again, leaves things better than we found it.
Right.
So he works with like Veterans Trust. He just went and did the that big Fort Bragg event where they drove for like 3 or 4 days and ride along to soldiers. And when he first found out about that, he was like I will be there. I don't care what it takes.
Right. This event was made for me.
I don't care what mountains I have to move. And I know he's trying to build up that part of his program more, so that he can really dedicate himself not only to competition but to veterans and their their needs and outreach.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
So for me on my end, it's I was already doing working for UCF in the engineering department. I advise senior design students. So if people don't know this, to be an engineer and to graduate, you have to go through the schooling, but at the end is the senior year, 2 semesters, you have to actually design and apply your skills and actually physically build something at UCF. So that could be in mechanical and aerospace, that could be a drone or some other thing. So knowing how popular drifting is and how passionate obviously I am for it, for drifting, I talked to them about kind of merging the two together. I was already doing that anyway and helping students. But I felt like I could do it in a way that was a little different and would get them excited. And a lot of students haven't had the opportunity to like wrench on a car, or do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I try to give them the opportunity to like pick up a welder and do stuff, or
hands-on.
Exactly. Get hands-on with it.
Cool. Dang. That's so I'm sure, some of these engineering students might have just been in the lab or like theorizing stuff or like on the computer, but actually making things. Has that program helped you build anything like with your car or with anything that you're doing? Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of breaking down into different areas. We just started it last year and did kind of a trial run where I had students design a bumper and a hood and try to make it out of composite. Cool.
So for me, if I end up getting something that works on the car and I can use it, like great, I'm very happy.
Yeah.
But the point is the education. So we learned a lot of things. There were a couple of steps that we learned not to do, which is part of the process sometimes. So we weren't able to use to produce a usable bumper and hood. But the knowledge that we kind of gained, not only for those students, but also back feeding into the program on what can and can't be done with that, is still really valuable.
Yeah.
For me, it's a huge win still. They got a lot out of it. I know if we run the project over again, what are some of the pitfalls to steer them away from.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, sometimes we learn the best lessons in the failures, right? Those are the ones that sink in the deepest.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so I don't want to take that away from students either. I want them to make their own choices. I let them do that.
Yeah.
You know, I give them a set of parameters, then let them kind of
Cool.
steer it.
So it was a success. It will continue next year. And
Yeah, so we started up another group of students this summer that'll go into the fall. They're designing a rear lower control arm for the car.
Cool.
So we're going to start designing some suspension stuff.
Nice.
We've procured another LS motor for the program. So we're going to like design an engine run stand and try to design some engine parts.
Very cool.
So the school, I think, has seen how popular drifting is now and like kind of gets that aspect of it more.
Yeah.
And they're willing to, facilitate some more of that stuff for the students to be engaged with it.
Yeah. As long as like enough people care about something, like that's what I feel like changes things. So
Yeah.
seems like enough people care right now that it's going well.
Yeah, it's worked out that way pretty well.
Nice. So touching on the 240, that platform will eventually cease to exist. So what?
Like what's next?
What do you see yourself or for the team doing?
That ties into the UCF stuff a little bit. So my dream for the UCF program is to have a car that I can go and compete with that was completely engineered by UCF students, like
top to bottom.
Yeah, like from the bash bars to engine stuff that's spec'd out and designed by them. So to tie into this one, yeah, it really hurts my heart. I mean, 5 years ago, the predominant chassis at local events was probably 240, and now it's BMWs and Zs. Just the way things go. So I've been thinking a lot about this. I think if in a perfect world, definitely be a lot newer chassis. I think it's more appealing. I've got to think of it from getting a program funded, especially for the student involvement and the competition side. So I think something that, a Mustang or it's probably my number one. There's some BMW chassis that wouldn't be too bad either. Mm-hmm. Maybe a Corvette, So it's kind of what I have my eye on, but I'm hoping on that subject that through some opportunities with the educational program that we can actually procure something to start doing that, because parts for the 240 are few and far between now. I mean, you used to go to a marketplace and find S13 stuff all day, and not now.
If it runs as long as it can, how long do you see yourself having the 240?
I don't know if I'll ever get rid of it.
No,
I love that car. I've got my friend Keegan who busts my chops all the time about it, because he's a BMW guy, and he's always ragging on me for it being like thin sheet metal, and Swiss cheese and everything, and he's not wrong. But there's just some being a kid growing up and seeing like magazines and old option videos, and always kind of being like, man, like that, that'd be so cool. Yeah. The old Signal, S13 or S15. So, yeah, I don't think I'll ever willingly give it up. So one of the things I'm hoping to do over the next year is actually make molds of everything on the car. So
cool.
I'm not as worried about stuff happening to
panels and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Nice. And I guess you can start making those with 3D printers and stuff now too.
We did that actually. Yeah. So the team that did the bumper, they 3D scanned it. So shout out to King's Performance for they opened up their shop to us and students and let us use their equipment. Like Willie and George and them there were like,
yeah, that's some good guys.
Yeah, like me, like I can't thank them enough. So they opened up their whole shop. We 3D scanned the doof bumper that I have. And again, like we're not reselling or anything like that. It was just for the purpose of them learning how to do it, and then making a mold so that we can just produce them for that car.
Right.
So they were able to do it. They 3D scanned it. They converted it to a model, and they actually 3D printed a bumper. Like a plug to make a mold off of.
Cool.
So, I think I forget how many hours, because it was all smaller printers.
Yeah. So it's like a bunch that clip together type
Yeah,
thing?
so they designed like geometry in the pieces so that they would like fit together one way and kind of locate themselves. Yeah.
Cool.
Rather than kind of like, because you imagine if you've got like 20 pieces to go like the length of a bumper and each one of them's like slightly off from the other, by the time you get to the end you're like way off.
Yeah.
So they built in little keyways so that they would align correctly, and it worked really well. That part of it worked phenomenally.
Yeah, I've only seen it done once with a Miata hardtop, and they were all the same shape pieces, but they all snapped together. And it was a little hardtop of a Miata. Yeah, dude, that's wild that we're getting to that level.
Yeah, no,
it's like printing car parts.
No, they did it. It was cool to see. I tell the teams too, like, don't be afraid to take risks. Like if they're calculated and you have good reasoning to do it, don't be afraid to do that.
Yeah, some of the best rewards come from the greatest risks.
Yeah, big time.
That's awesome, dude. You have any final thoughts? Anything you want to ask me? Anything you want to talk about before we close it out?
Yeah, no, I think I'm good. Just I definitely want to stress if anyone is seeing this and you're new, you're thinking about drifting, or maybe you don't have like all the resources or tools up front. If you see me at the track, like, do not hesitate to come up or reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook or something, because there is no such thing as a dumb question. And if I don't have the resource for it, I probably know somebody, after this long, then I'll try to get you in touch with them.
Yeah, you've been in it a while. Like,
so definitely don't be afraid to leverage me, to help ease your transition into this.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking about competition as well, especially, let's talk, and I can kind of coach you on developing a plan and like what that looks like to take it a little more serious to the next level.
Cool, man. That's awesome. I'll probably be taking you up in a year or so on that. But anybody else, hit him up.
Yeah.
Slide United Rich, thanks again for coming by, man. Give a thumbs up, drop a subscribe, leave a comment, and we'll catch you next time, fam. Peace.